Okay, thank you very much. You have the staff reports that were in your packet. Are there any questions? I'll do my best. Some of the staff was excused tonight because of the upcoming holidays. Okay, Commissioner Ganem? No questions. No questions.
That was kind of quick.
Commissioner Ganem's gonna come up and join me.
Commissioner Ganem, huh?
Commissioner Ganem, sorry.
See what happens in executive session?
Executive Director Ganem's gonna come up and join me, and he has something to share with the board real quick.
Okay, can everybody hear me? All right. Commissioners, almost 2 years ago now, we convened under less than ideal circumstances to evaluate a path forward. Commissioner Vedino, I remember your first couple of meetings, right when you were brand new and got thrown into what is going on at the fire district. At the time, we very much expected it to be a rocky road. The pressures of another leadership change, coupled with the pandemic, vaccination requirements, the loss of valued members, only intensified matters for us. With your decisions at the time, you put a 2-year plan in place. You supported an organizational health assessment to better understand the environment. Born from the OHA, you approved the strategic plan to chart a path forward. You participated in the hiring of an operations chief. You managed the process to sell surplus property to use the funds to finish what we started with infrastructure upgrades and to avoid asking taxpayers for more. And this past fall, you conducted an open and fair process to select our next fire chief, which of course you did this month. These, of course, are highlights from the past 24 months. There's so much more, but collectively, you are fulfilling your responsibilities as our elected officials. Commissioner Thompson and Commissioner Berger, a leader is defined as an experienced and trusted advisor, someone who is willing to share their knowledge and experience to help others, someone who provides wise counsel and guidance, someone who is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget, and sometimes difficult to work with. That wasn't in here.
No.
This is your definition.
Yes.
Don't ad lib.
You both fall into these categories. You are both leaders, and we will miss all of you and all of those things about you. As Sir Robert Baden-Powell, the founder of the Boy Scouts, told his scouts, try to leave this world a better place than you found it. Gentlemen, I can say for certain, you are leaving South King Fire better than when you found it. Thank you. With that,
Commissioner Thompson, you can come up, please. Yeah, you gotta come up. This is very unique because we're recognizing you for your fire service to the fire service after your service to the fire service. So not only did you have a long and distinguished career as a firefighter and as a fire officer, but you also stepped in as commissioner. So it's my pleasure to present you with this plaque that reads, South King Fire expresses its deep appreciation and sincere gratitude to Commissioner Mark Thompson, elected in 1999 and serving 2000 through 2023 for his 24 years of dedicated service supporting the fire district and representing the citizens of South King Fire. Commissioner Thompson's leadership, fire service experience, and passion for the industry contributed to many achievements over the past 2 decades. Noteworthy accomplishments during his service include our Class 2 WSRB rating, the 2006 merger between the Des Moines Fire Department and the Federal Way Fire Department, his consistent advocacy for residential sprinkler ordinances, and the persistence in providing protections against tax exemptions that impact limited funding mechanisms for the fire districts to serve and protect the critical emergency services provided to the community. Commissioner Thompson, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure. Goes the hoop. Thank you very much. That's it? No speech? Well, later. All right.
Commissioner Berger. we would like to present this plaque to you, sir. Commissioner Berger joined us in 2020, March of 2020. South King Fire and Rescue, South King Fire expresses its deep appreciation and sincere gratitude to Commissioner Dave Berger for his nearly 4 years of dedicated service, appointed on March 23rd, 2020, and serving through 2023, supporting the fire district and representing the citizens of South King Fire. Commissioner Berger's leadership, extensive government experience, and impressive Rolodex from years of service and community engagement contributed to unprecedented growth and progress the last several years. Noteworthy contributions include the use of professional services like Waldron and Associates for the organizational health assessment and strategic planning. Heartland LLC for the sale of surplus property, and the Mercer Group for the hiring process and selection of our next fire chief. His wealth of knowledge and attention to detail proved useful as he served as the chair of the ad hoc committee overseeing the sale of the 320th property. Although his tenure was short, his service was not. Commissioner Berger raised the bar for all of us. Your legacy, Commissioner Berger, you made the fire service for the communities you represent better, putting the needs of the community in
Well deserved, yes. Both of you. All right. Okay, we'll go back to item 6, agenda item 6, approval of the minutes for the following meetings. Regular meeting on November 28th, special meeting on December 1st, special meeting on December 2nd, special meeting on December 7th. Unless there are some individual comments about any of those, I'll ask for a motion to approve all 4 same time.
I move to approve.
Or a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, been a motion and a second to approve the 4 sets of minutes. Comments? Okay, all in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, Commissioner comments. Mr. Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It has been a pleasure and privilege to be able to serve the communities of Federal Way, Des Moines, for the last 3 3/4 years. Been a unique experience. I've enjoyed working with excellent staff and feel honored that period of time. Appreciate the comments. Commissioner or executive director, whatever he is. But thank you very much, and I appreciated working with my colleagues. It's a good group. Thank you very much, and happy holidays.
Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays, and have a joyous 2024. Thank you very much for the recognition. It was a lot of fun. Fire service was good to me and my family, and I just like to share the wealth with the rest of the community and our members and stuff. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, we're not done, but
Commissioner Video.
I would just like to thank Commissioner Thompson and Commissioner Berger for their service, and looking forward to our new commissioners, and Merry Christmas as well.
All right, and I'll just echo the same things. Thank you both for your service. Forward to Craig and Greg. And happy holidays all. All right, public comments. Are there any public comments? Okay, apparently there are none. All right. I don't believe there are any commissioner committee reports. Agenda item 10, resolution 641, adopting the regular meetings in 2024. If I can get you to read the first and last.
Resolution number 641, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of South King Fire, King County, Washington, adopting the regular meeting schedule for 2024. Adopted at a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners of South King Fire this 21st day of December 2023, the following commissioners being present and voting.
Okay, could I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 641?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I move approval of resolution 641.
There a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 641. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving resolution number 641, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right. Bridge plan funding recommendation.
We'll see if I can make the transition to funding now from all the other things we've discussed tonight. Okay, commissioners, as you know, through our report outs on the strategic bridge plan, it was our objective to report out by the end of this year where we're at with the funding analysis. So that is the purpose of tonight's hopefully brief discussion on funding. The strategic objectives that we set out, one second here, to accomplish by the end of the year was we were going to research our peer agencies, research tax law and exemptions, assess the different funding options for us moving into post 2024, model performance during an economic downturn and model taxpayer affordability, develop recommendations and identify the resources required to pursue whatever recommended funding mechanism we were going to suggest or recommend, and then of course gain alignment, union involvement and board approval, and that's what we're going to try and do tonight. So I'm happy to report that the team has been very, very busy this past year, gathering information from neighboring agencies, VRFA, PSERFA, Renton, Central Pierce, Eastside, and Fire. We've collected a lot of data, a lot of information on their processes, on their benefit charges, tools, formulas, etc. We've assessed the different funding options for us, and we've modeled out what the scenarios look like after the M&O expires next year. What maintaining status quo looks like for us, and then of course modeling what would happen in an economic downturn. And we've identified the resources needed to pursue the recommended funding. So tangible work and financial investments that we've made thus far, this last year, we entered into an agreement with Puget Sound for the utilization of their fire benefit tool. Several agencies use and contract with Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority to use this tool. We entered into an agreement and we have access. The finance and data team have already received an introductory training on the tool. Our data is in the system, and our teams are currently working and sifting through the data and learning the tool. Last time we reported out to you that there were 45,000 parcels that we were going to need to sift through. The IT team has created some automation, so kudos to them, some scripts and processes to streamline that down. And it's minimizing a lot of the manual sorting that we expected that we were going to have to do. We've also contracted with Cassie Swenson, our public relations consultant, on community engagement and funding education strategies moving forward. Cassie facilitated actually the development of the newsletter that went out recently. So we've put resources behind that effort. The budget that you approved last month included 2 new FTEs, one in finance and one in communications, for the sole purpose of upstaffing in advance of what we are going to recommend. And we've started development of internal education materials on the fire benefit charge. And then, of course, we are extending our agreement with Waldron into next year to carry out the objectives set out in the strategic bridge plan. So outside of just research and analysis and this and that, we've actually invested through policy direction and decisions to move forward. The maintenance and operations levy. It's supplemental to our normal regular property tax, as you know. The district has relied on the maintenance and operations levy since 2012. And it has ranged through the years to account for 7 to 10% of our annual revenue. So it's a big chunk of our budget that's needed, and when it goes away, we have issues. The amount and the purpose is impacted by fluctuations in regular property taxes. So what happens is when property taxes drop, we have to use maintenance and operations money to bridge the gap. And so some of the things that we have projected using maintenance and operations monies for is then reduced and it's diverted over to supplement. So, and this has happened each time. The M&O provides no protection for us against erosion of the $1.50, which causes us to have to go out and do the lid lifts, and we just did one, as you know. It's also been difficult to plan beyond the third year of the M&O cycle. So we've gone out, the last 3 M&Os that we've had since 2012 have been 4-year renewals. And in the first couple of years of the maintenance and operations levy, things are stable. We know that we're going to have money the year after year after year. When we start getting into the third year of the maintenance and operations levy, now we're really assessing the economy and what are AVs doing, you know, what is the overall picture, because what we're forecasting out in that 4th year may change depending on economic circumstances. So, and that's what we've been doing this last year. We've tried to communicate that as we work through the budget, and we've had our budget presentations or finance presentations. So we have a couple of good years and then it's a big question mark again, and we do it all over again. It requires 60% approval. It's good for 4 years. And the cycle of the M&O is more frequent to have to replace. And so we've got costly elections that we have to pay for. My recollection, I should have looked at this, but my recollection was the last M&O that we ran in 2020 cost us more than $300,000. So when you're going out and asking for 3.75 and you're spending $300,000 or $400,000 just to run the election, right? It's not really a good use of taxpayer money. So this is sort of a snapshot of what we've been doing. The fire benefit charge. reduces the regular property tax collection from $1.50 to $1 per thousand. The fire benefit charge can supplement up to 60% of your total operating budget. That's, you guys probably know this from our conversations over the years. The fire benefit charge in our environment would eliminate the need for a maintenance and operations levy. So you're going to take the $1.50, you're going to drop to $1, and the M&O is going to expire. And currently, I think citizens are paying 13 cents per thousand. So you're going to have two levy amounts that fall off. The fire benefit charge fairly distributes costs for taxpayers. We've talked about distribution between residential and commercial. It is based on a number of FD resources required and the amount of risk or hazards on the property. So we're not going to get into the formulas and the factors and all of that tonight. We've discussed this throughout the year. We anticipate having workshops with the board. I'll get to this in a minute, but there's so much more to the fire benefit charge than just a formula. So the fire benefit charge, though, provides protection from property tax drops. So if revenues due to AV reductions are dropping, the fire benefit charge can be adjusted to make up the difference for us. It can reduce lid lift renewal cycles and election costs, because what other agencies have been doing is when there's erosion on their dollar, instead of going out to the public, running an election, they can just adjust the benefit charge formula to compensate for the difference. And there's a fine line for doing that, but it's something that we can do, which again helps having to run lid lifts. It requires a 60% approval, and it's good for 6 years. So, and then once you've established it, you can renew it for 6 or 10 years with a 50% approval, and then you can actually seek down the road to do a permanent approval at 60%. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the fire benefit charge. I know it might be a little bit hard to see, but Valley Regional Fire Authority, I went and looked at their most recent calculations posted to their website, and their property tax at $1, they had the Valley Regional Fire Authority has a benefit charge. Their property tax at $1 brings in $15.6 million a year. Their total budget is $34.725 million. So the fire benefit charge is the 13,750 number, and that equates to 39.6% of their total operating expenses. So if when you see the fire benefit charge can have up to 60%, what we're finding is most of our neighboring agencies try and stay in the high 30s to 40% range. So if you look down below, Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority has fluctuated. Next year, they're expected to be at 40.87%. So what I did for just simplistic reasons here, I took a look at if we maintain status quo on our current costs for South King Fire moving into 2025. If we drop to $1, our property tax revenue would drop from about 42 million to 28. So now we got to make up that difference, and we make it up with the fire benefit charge. So to get us to where the expected expenses would be, which is about 50 million in 2025, the fire benefit charge would be 35% of our total operating budget. So if that kind of shows you kind of a baseline of what we would need. Now, of course, that does not anticipate board input, upstaffing for more firefighters or more apparatus, et cetera. But that's just right off keeping things status quo. That's what it would look like for us. And this last year, there's a snapshot of a few other fire agencies, Renton, Puget Sound, and Graham. You can see Graham's pretty low at 16%. I didn't get into their budget, but pretty broad differences there. So the next steps for us, and And this is where we're at the crossroads, and this is why we're coming to you today. Because this last year, it's sort of been if we go for the fire benefit charge. And a lot of work has been put into the if conversation. And now we're at the point where to move forward, we need board support. There's no turning back. So we know what will happen if we run a maintenance and operations levy. We can expect what we've been doing the last several cycles. It'd be a set amount for at least $5 million. I've already projected this out. And by the way, this would be the easiest thing for us to do. We don't have to do any more work. We set the amount right now, or in the not too distant future, we go before you, we file a resolution, we put it on the ballot, we educate the public, and then we do what we've always done. But that doesn't provide any of the protections that we need. The benefit is that a lot of the agencies around us have been successful in getting the benefit charge. We tried to do this about 10 plus years ago and we weren't successful. And then we never went back to the party. And we got into this cycle of maintenance and operations levies. Now that our partners have been successful in doing it, we can lean on them. We can understand what they did to get it, how they use it, everything in between. And so what we expect moving forward is the formation of an internal work group to create subject matter experts on the fire benefit charge. And this literally will be happening in January. Once our core group is confident about all of the ins and outs of what the benefit charge means, then we will conduct a train the trainer where we start to educate internally. Shortly after, we'll formalize the timeline and which would include everything from education to election. And obviously there's a lot of board involvement in there. The internal workshops would pertain to the formula benefit charge, the formula for the fire benefit charge, risk factors, exemptions, and all of the nuts and bolts of that. Scheduling community groups and service clubs and other funding educational opportunities. Create and disseminate publications, use our consultant and our COW office and the communications position that we're hiring for to disseminate publications, get the online fire benefit tool up and running so that taxpayers can see what it means for them, hold all of the public meetings as required by RCW, and then move forward with commissioner resolutions in April of next year to be on the ballot for August. It's a very short time frame, but everything is lining up as we expected. So our recommendation to the board is that we move forward with the fire benefit charge next year. And I wanted to spare, we were missing a commissioner, and we have a change of the board after tonight. And our two new commissioners are going to be very much a part of this process and very much a part of the workshops and the understanding, the nuts and bolts, the factors, everything that goes along with this. But Commissioner Fuller has taken a particular interest in wanting to participate in all of that too. So with the amount of things on the agenda tonight, I wanted to keep the funding recommendation very high level, but tell you that we need support and direction to get to the next steps.
Through the chair, I have a question for Joe. Joe, or maybe this is a question for our legal counsel. Is the fire benefit charge an item that federal income tax deducted like the 50-cent portion of property tax that now can be deducted? Or does
So
Quinn know?
Eric Quinn is on, and before he answers, I'll just tell you that I paid the fire benefit charge when I lived in Auburn. And at that time, it was not a tax deductible because it's a fee. Eric, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on, and Joe is correct about that. It's not a tax, which is a great marketing piece of utilizing the fire benefit charge. But because it's not a tax, it's not deductible.
So I guess I would suggest that that be part of the education, full disclosure.
Sure.
But perhaps there's advantages that can be highlighted along with that being the one of the cons if there are any other. know that there are any pros and cons would probably be helpful.
That's, yes, I agree with you. From what I've seen, and as you know from some of our other conversations, is that the spreading the taxes across, commercial and residential, the hope would be that the high utilizers are paying more. And so therefore, a lot of our residential customers would see some relief. Okay.
Mr. Chair, and Joe and the rest of the folks, appreciate the work that the team has put forth into the strategic objectives part of the bridge plan. And we know the outcome if we continue to do what we've always done. Planning hindered somewhat future of the organization. Well, we will be having the same conversations if we continue with the maintenance and operations levy project and in the future don't change our method of funding the department. We need to change our approach because like we experienced this year, we had a assessed value drop, and even though we did a lid lift, we captured the $150 lid lift, but it's a lower amount than what we had planned because the AVs went down. So those are some financial storms we have to try to work around, especially hard in a growing community. Our neighboring fire districts, fire agencies have made the switch, and we're one of just a few fire districts that don't have the service benefit charge. And the experience from our neighbors, departments that have it, the benefit charge, success for them. And it's supported by their communities, so it's educated on it. So we need to do the same for our district and for our community. That being said, Mr. Chair, I make a motion that the district proceed with the work required to place the fire benefit charge on the August primary ballot 24.
I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded for the district to move ahead with the work for the service benefit charge on the ballot. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving that motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
One of the comments I was going to make, just for education purposes for anybody here or listening in, when Joe mentioned on the M&O levy that, our cost to run that levy was about $300,000. That is what we were charged by King County to be on the ballot for all of the expenses, printing the voters pamphlets and paper clips they use and all that stuff. About $300,000 every time you run something. And it's the same thing when, when we're on the ballot for the commissioners. County charges us. Anyway.
Mr. Chair, add a little bit to that is that $300,000 to run the election, and we get charged that whether people vote or not. So we spent $300,000 for the opportunity. Only 26% of the people registered voted in the district. That's a lot of money for an election. So, like Joe mentioned, and it's really expensive. It's going up every year because there's registered voters.
Anyway, we have before us tonight the fire chief's employment agreement to approve or not approve. So, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the fire chief's employment contract.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the fire chief's employment agreement. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the employment agreement, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right. And next is in item 13, the executive director Ganem's contract. As I stated at the November regular board meeting, Director Ganem has done just an excellent job of as far as the budget and a lot of other things. And I asked at that meeting that the fire chief and the HR director put together an employment agreement for the executive director. We have that in front of us tonight. So again, motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the employment agreement contract for executive director.
Second the motion.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to approve that employment agreement for the executive director. Comments, questions?
Very well deserved.
All right, all those in favor of approving the motion for the executive director's contract, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimously. All right, December budget.
I'll keep this one really short. Well, it looks like we've wrapped up the year in a really good financial position, which is always good. At this time of the year, obviously, we'd be at 100% or thereabouts. And I'm happy to report that we are ending the year at 97 14/100% at budget, which puts us at 2 51/100% under budget. So about 2.5% under budget. Finance team did kind of give me a high level overview of why that was. But I haven't had a chance to get in and actually look at it. But at the end of the year, we're in a great spot. So moving into next year, we couldn't be more happy about our budget position.
Do the same thing for us next
We're going to try. I do believe we've had a good track record here. And with the particulars, Lorraine, you do need to talk to the mic.
Mike and the bill and yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Lorraine Young. I do payroll and finance. And we had mid-month utilities totaling $170,550.93. Accounts payable totaled $1,260,000, $260,124.20. Our payroll totaled $1,423,264.44, and our payroll taxes totaled $307,119.99. Medical claims processed as of December 19th total $150,617.11 for a total approval. We're stating $3,311,676.67.
All right.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I move we pay the bills, sign the voucher.
I'll second.
All right. There's a motion and a second to approve the vouchers. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the vouchers, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Good job, Lorraine.
Right.
Everybody's been paid. Huh?
Well, the check's in the mail, the yellow story. Okay, all right. The board now is going to adjourn into executive session per RCW 42.30.110(1)(c). Consider the minimum price at which real estate will be offered for sale or lease when public knowledge regarding such consideration would cause a likelihood of decreased price. However, final action, selling or leasing public property shall be taken in a meeting open to the public. Joining the board in executive session will be Chief Ben Valkenburg, Executive Director Ganem, Executive Secretary Lori Perry, Legal Counsel Matt Anderson and Evan Schneider. At this time, we will recess for 5 minutes to get everyone transferred into executive session. We anticipate the executive session lasting for 20 minutes. Action may or may not be taken after the executive session. At the end of executive session, we will take a 2-minute recess, get everyone transferred back over to the special meeting. As before, we'll ask everyone to leave that I mentioned.